very, very seriously.
This week on Hollywood Express. F9 is already a record breaker.
It's very humbling to watch them and be able to take advice from them.
A magical reunion is in the works.
You know, the world that we live in has changed drastically. Everybody has been practically forced to live their lives online. So there's never been a more important time to be comfortable with technology than now. Every morning on New Day, we'll give you the very latest on technology. We'll talk about the latest gadgets, hardware, apps, and software so that you stay up to date when it comes to tech. Watch New Day every weekday, 6 a.m. for news and more. Only here on CNN Philippines.
Good evening, I'm Theo Ontiveros. Welcome to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Tonight on the program, those who have not yet gotten or those who have yet to get a COVID-19 shot are banned from taking public transportation here in Metro Manila. The National Privacy Commission is stepping in and sets a hearing to clear the air on the alleged hacking of Comlec servers. And take a look at this bag, which sold out in less than a minute. Find out what's special about it later on in the show. With a rising number of COVID-19 cases, the government now wants to restrict the mobility of unvaccinated people in Metro Manila. One thing is clear, beginning Monday, no vaccination, no ride in public transportation. Our Paulo Barcelon tells us what else we need to know.
Transportation Secretary Arto Gade issued a directive signed on Tuesday requiring passengers to present vaccination cards before they can board public transport vehicles within Metro Manila. Under Department Order 2022-001, only those fully vaccinated may be given tickets or board PUVs. They will be required to show their vaccination cards along with a government-issued ID. The agency says it's one way of curbing the rapid spread of COVID-19.
Aim po ng DO nato, ng Department Order na ito ay maproteksyon po ang ating pampublikong transportasyon na huwag maging vector po ng pag-transmission ng ating ng Omicron variant.
The order also gives certain exemptions to the unvaccinated, such as those with medical certificates proving that they have conditions that prohibit them from receiving a COVID shot, or those going out to buy essential goods and services, provided they have a barangay health pass or proof to justify why they need to go out. Some sectors, however, slam the policy. Bagong Alyansang Makabayan Secretary General Renato Reyes calls it illegal and absurd, saying the policy would even prevent the unvaccinated from going to inoculation sites. Kabataan Party List President Raul Manuel says it also adds to a growing list of denials for the unvaccinated, from work, pay, and even going outside. The Transportation Department defends its new directive, saying it's not discriminatory.
Sa ating Bill of Rights, what is protected po is the right to travel. We are not limiting the travel of the commuters. What we are merely limiting is the use of the public transport. Pwede naman po silang bumiyahe sa kanilang sarili pong hindi lang nga po sa pampublikong sasakyan.
But for commuters,
masaya naman po na nadulungkot kasi po masaya po kasi protected ka po pag sumasakay ka kasi fully vaccine po yung mga pinapasakay. Pero po malungkot naman po dahil dun sa mga hindi po fully vaccinated, parang hindi po din valid. Kasi minsan po, may reason din po kung bakit sila hindi na fully vaccine. Ganun.
Para po sa safety ng lahat, I guess, it's okay lang din naman po na may vaccine policy.
Parang kalahati, pabor, kalahati hindi. Kasi paano naman yung ibang, parang may discrimination din eh. Paano yung mga ayaw magpabakuna? Pero in general, kung ako tatanungin, gusto ko yung may vaccine.
Transport officials say the guidelines will take effect on Monday, with drivers and operators facing penalties if caught taking in unvaccinated passengers. Paolo Barcelon, CNN Philippines.
Authorities in the provinces are also working to curb the spread of the coronavirus by imposing restrictions on the unvaccinated. In Albay, the provincial government bans the unvaccinated from taking public transportation, and in indoor and alfresco dining, hotels, country clubs, and on leisure trips, among others. Unvaccinated children below 12 are not allowed in malls. However, those unvaccinated going to work must present a negative RT-PCR test result every 2 weeks. Otherwise, they will not be allowed to leave their homes. In Aklan, 2 vaccination areas are now jam-packed with people waiting or wanting to get a COVID-19 shot. A local order requires establishments and venues to only allow fully vaccinated people. Minors are not allowed to leave home except for medical reasons. And in Eastern Visayas, a no vaccination, no entry policy is now in effect in some local governments and business establishments. These include the cities of Ormoc and Borongan. The regional IATF supports the policy, saying it will encourage more people to get vaccinated. We're seeing an all-time high of active COVID-19 cases. The health department reports there are now over 208,000 people currently sick with COVID-19. This number still excludes data from 11 testing laboratories. An additional 32,246 people contracted the virus. That is the second biggest increase in infections. The positivity rate is also the second highest at 45.7%. Now, this means 4 out of 10 people tested turn out positive for COVID-19. Meanwhile, 144 more people died and over 5,000 others recovered. Health Chief Francisco Duque believes the country could still be in the acceleration phase of the virus surge. He explains more people are expected to test positive for COVID-19. He's hoping, however, the surge caused by the Omicron variant will be over in a matter of weeks, just like what happened in South Africa. Duque, meanwhile, notes health officials are beginning to see COVID-19 spikes in regions close to Metro Manila, such as Calabarzon, Central Luzon, Ilocos Region, and Cagayan Valley. Duque urges regional health directors and local governments in these areas to be more aggressive in their vaccination efforts. For the World Health Organization, it's too early to say the country has reached the peak of surge. WHO country representative Rabindra Abayasinghe says what is critically important at the moment is to reduce the opportunity for virus transmission. He says this can be done through reducing close contact, early isolation, and reduced mobility.
We now know that the National Capital Region and some adjoining regions have been put under alert level 3 from the 3rd of January, I believe, or subsequent dates. And that is showing a very significant reduction in mobility. It's also showing, if you look at the streets of Manila, many people are not going out. They are not taking the risk. So this is going to have a significant impact on transmission.
Abayasinghe adds the more transmissible Omicron may soon replace Delta as the dominant COVID-19 variant in the Philippines. This is based on observations in other countries experiencing the same surge in new infections. However, Abayasinghe says it's difficult to conclusively determine if Omicron is already the dominant variant since the country is sequencing too few samples. Now, a labor group is pushing for mandatory quarantine and isolation leave benefits for workers as COVID-19 cases continue to rise. This is on top of the existing vacation and sick leaves for employees. But the Labor Department flags legal challenges on the proposal as it offers a possible alternative. Our Tristan Nadalo reports.
With more economic frontliners getting infected due to COVID-19 surge, the labor group Trade Union Congress of the Philippines, or TUCP, is sounding the alarm that some workers are hesitant to go on quarantine or isolation when infected or exposed to the virus. The group insists it's high time to impose a policy mandating employers to give workers paid time off if they should isolate or quarantine.
Kung hindi natin gagawing mandatory yan, ay mag-aalilangan at mag-aagam-agam ang mga manggagawa at hindi sila ma-encourage at sila ay magdadalawang isip kung magko-quarantine pa ba.
Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello says imposing mandatory quarantine and isolation leave benefits has no legal basis. For now, the department can issue an advisory urging employers to add leave credits for workers who have already used up their sick and vacation leaves but must undergo quarantine and isolation.
Wala pa pong batas na nagmamandato na magbigay ng paid quarantine or isolation leave. Pero meron po tayong mga katumbas pong benepisyo na ibinibigay po ng SSS at ng ACC para po dun sa mga empleyadong required to undergo quarantine. Ang commitment po ng DOL ay isang labor advisory para linawin yung mga patakaran o i-clarify yung patakaran sa pagbabayad po ng isolation and quarantine leave.
As far as the Employers Confederation of the Philippines or ECOP is concerned, the proposal to make isolation and quarantine paid leaves mandatory is fair. The group, however, expresses concern on how small businesses can cope with this additional expenses.
Ang problemahin natin yung hindi naman namin mga members to, pero they are 65% of the employees, yung mga micro.
Opo, yung mga business.
Paano ang gagawin natin doon? Wala namang pong bayad. Baka naman kailangan i-assist talaga ng gobyerno yan.
Some workers urge the government to reconsider the proposal in order to keep their workplaces and their families safe.
Pabor po, basta babayaran sir. Basta babayaran ng employer. Wala namang problema din eh. Tsaka hindi delay yung bayad. Kasi kailangan ng tao ng pera eh.
Kung compensated naman ang mga manggagawa na i-quarantine, that will be good. Hindi naman maapektuhan ang income nila na pwede nilang i-provide sa family nila.
Workers from the food, retail, manufacturing, airline, and tourism industries are expected to benefit from the TUCP plan. But how micro and small businesses will be affected by the proposal is another thing, as this may lead to problems in terms of manpower, flexible work arrangement setups, and additional costs. Tristan Udalo, CNN Philippines.
Health advocates say the government appears to have given up on the current situation with its policy shift on addressing the COVID-19 surge. Dr. Joshua San Pedro of the Coalition for People's Right to Health explains instead of listening to calls to have free mass testing and strong contact tracing, the health department is now focusing on community management and isolation. He adds people exhibiting COVID-19 symptoms are now relying on over-the-counter medicines because they cannot afford to pay for antigen or RT-PCR tests, while those who are asymptomatic maintain their regular activities and may be unwittingly spreading the virus. Meanwhile, Dr. Eleanor Hara of Shape Up to Defeat COVID-19 says she is dismayed that testing only reached 73,000 at the height of the Omicron surge, when the health department's testing target is 100,000 people per day. She adds as many as 28 provinces still have no testing laboratories.
Hindi nakikinig ang pamahalaan ito sa atin. Hindi siya nakikinig, arrogante siya. Ayaw niyang pakinggan ng mga tao at pilit sinasabi na tayo ang kailangan may gawin para mabago ang pandemya, masugpo ang pandemya.
Health Secretary Francisco Duque earlier said mass testing is expensive, as the government will spend at least 12 billion pesos per month to test 200,000 people per day. But Ibon Foundation says the government has the money and it only needs to prioritize public health in this time of a pandemic. The group suggests realigning intelligence funds from the Office of the President and budget for infrastructure to health, as well as renegotiating the country's debt service from official creditors. Up ahead on Newsnight, the Commission on Elections rejects calls to reopen the filing of the certificates of candidacy and to postpone the polls. We'll have that and other election-related updates after the break. And some BTS fans are heartbroken after this product ran out of stock in less than a minute. You're watching CNN Philippines. Back after a quick break.
pandemic, serving others is the best. Sa pagtutulungan, patuloy ang ating laban sa buhay. Kaya dapat always healthy. With proper diet, exercise, and MX3 coffee mix to ignite my day.
Hi guys!
Lagi akong focused, active, at extraordinary.
Because the most important things in life deserve nothing less. MX3 coffee mix, my choice.
Welcome back to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. The National Privacy Commission steps in to look into the reported hacking on the servers of the Commission on Elections as the poll body continues to cast doubt on the supposed breach. Melissa Lopez joins us live for more details. Mel?
That's right, Pia. The National Privacy Commission has sent summons for a clarificatory hearing to officials of both COMELEC and Manila Bulletin to discuss the alleged hacking incident involving the poll body servers, something poll executives now deny. Privacy Commissioner John Henry Naga says the hearing will be held on January 25th via teleconference and ordered COMELEC to prepare its own comprehensive report on the supposed hacking days before the session. COMELEC was initially reluctant to confirm the claims made by the newspaper report, but now says the hacking was unlikely. During last night's Politics as Usual here on CNN Philippines, COMELEC Chairman Sharif Abbas said that the supposed breach appears to be fake news as no information has been uploaded to their system yet.
The COMELEC welcomes these investigations. We are very eager to participate in these exercises. We have confidence in the security of our systems and in the procedures that we have undertaken since 2016 to ensure that our data is hardened and cannot be unlawfully accessed. As far as the COMELEC is concerned, confident kami na walang na-hack sa amin. No? Walang na-hack sa amin. Pero, gayon pa man, gusto natin malaman saan ang gagaling itong storya na to.
Wala pa naman po tayong final na data para i-configure. Kasi January 15 pa kami mag-configure ng mga data namin na ipapasok sa system ng VCM. So sa ngayon, Ms. Pia, sure ako na walang hacking na nangyari.
COMELEC spokesman James Jimenez adds the team of Manila Bulletin tech editor Art Samaniego presented 2 screenshots to him as supposed proof of the hack, a network diagram with no context and a supposed page from a PDF document of clustered precincts. He clarifies the data from that team, which claims to be voter data from precincts in Las Piñas, were wrong. Jimenez says the poll body has sought the help of the National Bureau of Investigation to assist in the validation process, but says he's confident that the COMELEC was not hacked, unlike in 2016 when the poll body admitted to a massive privacy breach involving the personal data of millions of registered voters. Pia?
Mel, and how is this going to affect COMELEC's preparations for May 2022?
Yes, Pia, actually, COMELEC says their preparations for the May 9 polls is continuing with barely 4 months to go. The commissioners also resolved several issues today. They unanimously rejected the request of PDP Laban Wing President Alfonso Cusi to reopen the filing of certificates of candidacy and postpone the printing of ballots. COMELEC says the timeline for preparations had been set in time for the voting day. It cannot be adjusted just to accommodate Cusi's plea. All commissioners, including newly appointed poll executive Ray Bulay, also voted against a separate petition to postpone the elections to 2025, citing the ongoing pandemic. The poll body is expected to finalize the design of the 2022 ballots and release the final list of candidates on Saturday, January 15th, then begin ballot printing next week. Back to you.
Mel, multiple cases filed or blocking former Senator Bongbong Marcos's presidential bid. Will this affect the list of candidates on the ballot?
Actually, COMELEC can proceed with the printing of ballots even without waiting for the results or the decisions on these cases. Chairman Sharif Abbas although said last night that both the first and second divisions are preparing their the resolutions on various cases, either to cancel the certificate of candidacy of Marcos as well as to disqualify him from the race. Commissioner Antonio Co earlier explained that unless it's already the COMELEC and Bank which rejected or ruled against Marcos, his name will still appear on the ballot. And so far, we have 10 presidential candidates, 9 for vice president, 64 for the Senate, and 177 party list groups. Latest update though, former MMDA spokesman Celine Pialagos' Malasakit movement has been dropped from the role after COMELEC ruled that it does not stand for an underrepresented sector, while it accepted Mothers for Change, the party list of Mocha Uson, for accreditation in the upcoming elections. Pia.
Melissa Lopez there reporting. Now back to our top story. Some presidential aspirants oppose the Transport Department's no vaccination, no ride policy in Metro Manila. Senator Ping Lacson says the government should first consider whether it has enough vaccine doses before imposing the ban and possibly affecting the livelihood of the unvaccinated. Senator Manny Pacquiao also calling on the DOTR as well as other government agencies not to limit the mobility of the unvaccinated. Pacquiao says people should not be forced to get their shots. For Vice President Leni Robredo, the policy should be to inform and incentivize the public to get vaccinated, not impose penalties. Robredo adds free mass testing and improved contact tracing are key to controlling virus transmission. Labor leader Calyodi de Guzman also suggesting incentives and programs such as house-to-house vaccination to encourage inoculation. Meanwhile, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno orders an on-site rollout of booster shots for construction workers in the city. The government looks to begin the vaccination of children aged 5 to 11 years old by next month. That is according to vaccine czar Carlito Galvez, who says the reformulated Pfizer doses for the age group are expected to arrive in the country by the end of the month, January. Now, last month, the government granted emergency use authorization for the use of the Pfizer vaccine on children aged 5 and above. Galvez also notes the country eyes to begin inoculating children 4 years old and below in April, pending the amendment of the emergency use applications of vaccine manufacturers. World headlines now. China rolls out more restrictions in major areas in a bid to curb the spread of the Omicron variant and return to its zero COVID status. Omicron outbreaks from the northern city of Tianjin have spread to parts of Henan province, prompting mass testing and lockdowns. Officials also suspended bus and train trips from Tianjin to nearby Beijing. The Chinese capital will host the Winter Olympics on February 4. Over in Europe, half of the continent's population may find themselves sick with the highly infectious variant in a matter of weeks. The World Health Organization says Omicron has been a tidal wave sweeping across Europe on top of another contagious variant, Delta, which it had already managed.
At this rate, the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation forecasts that more than 50% of the population in the region will be infected with Omicron in the next 6 to 8 weeks.
In the United States, Omicron also spreading at unprecedented rate. The nation's top health expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says it's likely just about everybody will be exposed to the variant. But Fauci adds the fully immunized and those with boosters will fare better, as the unvaccinated will get the brunt or bear the brunt of Omicron's severity. 1 in 5 eligible Americans are not inoculated. COVID-19 hospitalizations hitting record highs for both adults and children in the United States. This is putting more pressure on a healthcare system already strained because of staff shortages. CNN's Chris Wen has more.
As America struggles to manage the COVID-19 crisis, healthcare workers are being pushed to the brink.
A lot of hospital systems simply do not have enough staff because people are out with COVID themselves, diagnosed, forcing to isolate and quarantine themselves.
In Rhode Island, some COVID-positive healthcare workers are continuing to work in line with CDC guidance, state health officials say, because of critically low staffing levels at hospitals and nursing homes across the state.
No one could have anticipated the depth of the staffing challenge that we find ourselves in right now.
Across the country, more than 145,000 people are currently hospitalized with COVID-19, a new record high according to data from the Department of Health and Human Services.
This latest surge of Omicron is like nothing we've seen.
Data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows the risk of hospitalization is 8 times higher for unvaccinated people than it is for fully vaccinated people.
The substantial number of absolute cases is resulting in hospitalization increases across all age groups, including children aged 0 to 4.
This comes as federal officials drive a familiar point, urging the public to get vaccinated or boosted as soon as possible.
The emergence of the Omicron variant again emphasizes the importance of vaccinations and boosters, which decrease the risk of infection, severe disease, and death caused by COVID-19.
In Washington, I'm Chris Wen.
When we come back, we give you a rundown of nations holding the most travel-friendly passports this year. And this one's for K-pop fans. We give you a glimpse at the new in-demand bag designed by a BTS member. Stay tuned to CNN Philippines.
Every night, we take a hard look at the stories and provide you with multiple points of view from here and around the world. Now, we'll bring you more news you can use from the trading floor and the global markets, and bring you more news you can trust in business and finance. Buy, sell, hold on The Final Word, weekdays at 9 p.m. only on CNN Philippines. Every night, we take a hard look at the stories and provide you with multiple points of view from here and around the world. Now, we'll bring you more news you can use from the trading floor and the global markets, and bring you more news you can trust in business and finance. Buy, sell, hold on The Final Word, weekdays at 9 p.m. only on CNN Philippines.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines. Which passports can get to most places around the world without a visa this 2022? The Henley Passport Index says top 5 countries opens travel to nearly 200 destinations visa-free. Japan and Singapore top the list with 192 places. The Philippines is at 77th place with 66 destinations. But temporary restrictions are not taken into account, including those caused by the pandemic. Meanwhile, some BTS fans are facing heartbreak after a much sought-after commodity got sold out. And no, we're not talking about the concert tickets. It is this mute Boston bag designed by vocalist V. It went on sale yesterday, with fans saying stocks ran out online within seconds. Broadway star Lea Salonga tweeted her disappointment over not getting to buy her own bag, saying she's going to cry in a corner over the heartbreak. Now, this year's Oscars marks the return to an old tradition. We get the details from CNN's David Daniel in tonight's Hollywood Minute.
This year's Academy Awards show will have something it's lacked the last few years, a host. ABC has announced the March 27th ceremony will be the first with a host since 2018, when Jimmy Kimmel took the Oscars stage. No word who this year's host will be.
Everything okay?
Ever since we moved into this house, my mind is flooded. We all have writer's block.
This is not just a creepy rock and roll house. It allows spiritual entities to cross into our world.
Oh my God!
Here's a look at the first trailer for Studio 666, about Foo Fighters moving into a spooky mansion to record what could turn out to be their last album. The band plays themselves in the musical horror comedy, which opens in theaters February 25th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
And before we go, a safety reminder as COVID-19 cases continue to go up, to keep abiding by health protocols. Make sure to wear your mask, double mask, medical mask under, cloth mask on top, practice physical distancing. If you experience COVID-19 symptoms, cancel any travel plans and isolate. Prevent more infections by staying home and getting tested. Let's work together to curb this health crisis. And that is it for tonight. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
This program is brought to you by
Since the onset of the pandemic, health experts have constantly reminded us to boost our immune system to fight COVID-19. But what really is our immune system? How does it work to protect the body from viruses like COVID-19 and other types of outside invaders that can harm our bodies? On the program today, we'll explain how the immune system works and its many parts. We'll also talk about practical ways to boost it. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk, only on CNN Philippines. The role of the immune system is to protect us from infection, but there's a lot more to it. The immune system is made up of a wide network of cells, tissues, and organs, and each play a unique role in keeping us healthy. Let's welcome Dr. Paulo Miguel Borja. He's an internal medicine specialist from the Asian Hospital and Medical Center. Also with us is Dr. Cristina Ignacio Alberto, who is a pediatrician and community doctor at Health Index Medical Clinic. We've mentioned that the immune system protects us from foreign invaders that can cause infections like viruses as well as bacteria. I'll start the discussion with Dr. Paulo. How does our immune system work? Yun lang yung simpleng tanong. Ano? Could you tell us more about this process?
So your immune system is a complex network of cells, tissues, and organs. Together, they help the body fight infections and other diseases. When germs such as bacteria or viruses invade your body, they attack and multiply. So this is called an infection. The infection causes the disease that makes you sick, and your immune system protects you from the disease by fighting off these germs or these invaders.
Doc Paulo, on the flip side, on the other side, what happens to a person when the immune system isn't working properly naman?
So there can be a lot of reasons why your immune system will not work properly. Of course, the more common cause is what we call an immunocompromised state. So these are individuals with conditions that would impair their immune system or their ability of their body to combat infections. So particularly those who have cancer or malignancy, they're part of those patients who have an immunocompromised state. Post-transplant patients also fall under this category. Those with certain genetic disorders fall under this as well. Those who are taking immunosuppressive medications, such as high-dose steroids, and patients with AIDS, of course, they are considered to have an immunocompromised state. No? More commonly for our audience, so diabetics and actually the elderly, they can also be considered to be immunocompromised. Mm-hmm. So what happens when you're immunocompromised is that your body's natural or innate ability to fight off infections is impaired. So in short, your natural defenses are low, making you more prone to infections, making you more likely to get sick. And if ever that you do get sick, you will get sick longer if you are immunocompromised.
Now that we've established the importance of having a strong and robust immune system, there are things that we may do every day that can weaken this. And it's important that our viewers know this because there are some habits that we do every day that may weaken our immune system. Doc Tina, what are some of these factors that can negatively impact our immune system?
Number one, your diet, and your lifestyle. That's very important. So if you're taking in, you have a poor diet, of course, that is lacking in vitamins, zinc, and essential minerals, of course, your immune system will go down. Kasi importante po yan in regulating our immune system. Lack of sunlight exposure, because sunlight is very important in regulating the immune system. Tapos yung sedentary lifestyle, it also contributes to the weakening of the immune system. Of course, poor hygiene can expose us to a lot of germs, and that can also decrease the immune system. Lack of sleep, that's why it is very important to get enough sleep every day. So those are some of the factors that can also weaken the immune system.
Ngayon, Doc Tina, how can what we eat, yung kinakain natin, how can that impact our body's natural defense?
If you have micronutrient deficiency, that will decrease your immune system kasi importante po yan in regulating the immune system. Kaya we always emphasize the importance of a healthy, balanced diet. And of course, we also should avoid taking in too much junk foods kasi this can contribute to obesity and which also can cause metabolic syndrome, which can also decrease our immune system.
Doc Tina, how can we make sure that our immune system stays healthy ngayon na siyempre pandemic, maraming anxious, maraming kulang sa tulog, pero we want to still make sure that the immune system is still strong?
We recommend 7 to 8 hours of sleep for both adults and children. And of course, you have to have a fit mental health. So how do we do it? Minsan meditation can work. Sometimes it's interaction with the family o kahit online lang po yan. We encourage that. And there is also pet therapy right now. So those who are pet lovers, we encourage other people to have pets with them kasi this is also part of building up a good mental health process. And of course, you have to have some set activities, especially for the families kasi mental health is also becoming a big problem even for the children and the adolescents.
Okay. Now, other infections like the flu virus or even measles can also weaken our immune system. And this is why flu vaccines and other vaccines as well are available and they are key in our protection. Doc Tina, tell us more about this, especially vaccines for preventable diseases.
Vaccines are very important in preventing many types of diseases, okay? And most of these diseases are both deadly, fatal, and can cause severe lifetime disability. So what the vaccines do is to protect us from upcoming infections, okay? So in our immune system, we have the adaptive and the innate immune system. Pag sinabi natin innate, these are inborn immunity. When we say adaptive, this helps us adapt to incoming infections. That's what our vaccines do. So vaccines help by introducing controlled amount of viruses, bacteria in our body, which can help us mount the bacteria or viruses na natural na pupunta sa katawan natin.
To protect our bodies from infection, many cells, organs, and tissues have to work together. Doc Paulo, let's briefly go over some of the different or the most important parts of the immune system para sa mga viewers natin.
So that includes your skin, which can help prevent the germs from getting into your body, your mucous membranes, which are moist, inner linings, such as your organs, body cavities, all of these are also part of your immune system, actually. White blood cells, which you usually hear from your complete blood count or your CBCs, they're actually a very important and vital part of your immune system. And other organs and tissues in the lymph system, such as your thymus, spleen, tonsils, which you thought before really didn't have any function, they're actually functioning as part of your immune system. So how does it work exactly? So your immune system defends your body against substances that it sees as harmful or foreign. So these substances are called antigens. So they may be germs, such as I mentioned, such as bacteria, viruses. They can be chemicals or toxins. And even up to a certain point, even sunburn or radiation can also be antigens as well.
When it comes to the immune system, a lot of people may think that antibodies are the key. Pero ang antibodies lang bang importante pagdating sa immune system, Doc Paulo?
The antibodies are actually the terminal or the final product from a well-working immune system. Before you get to produce that antibodies, like I said, it has to go through a cascade of processes before you're able to produce that final product of the antibody. The antibody acts as the final product and acts as a memory cell. It gives protection for future infections. Like the term itself, memory cell. So once your body is able to produce antibodies or memory cells, it will be able to produce a immune response when it's exposed next time to these triggers. A lot of the major factors, like I said, would be those that would detect the antigens. So that would be your white blood cells. Those would be your other cells within your immune system, your receptor cells. Those will be able to identify the antigen first, which is also very crucial. Identifying that something is harmful in your body is definitely key before you get to produce the antigen, before you get to trigger the cascade.
Yeah, so there are a lot of different, really important parts of the immune system other than antibodies. When we return, we'll talk more about the other parts that make up our immune system and why they're so important in keeping us healthy. And later on in the show, we'll give you practical tips on how you can boost it. Your health is our mission here on MedTalk Health Talk. You're watching CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez and welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk, your partner in healthcare. Doc Tina, let's talk about the role of the bone marrow in our immune system.
Okay, the bone marrow is where your lymphocytes, all your white cells are produced. Okay, your neutrophils, everything. So, ang bone marrow po, yan yung nasa loob ng ating mga bones. Okay, there are red bone marrow and the yellow bone marrow. Ito po yung tinatawag nating bulalo in Tagalog. Okay, so napaka-importante po niyan because this is where the stem cells arises. The stem cells is where all other cells arises. Yung ating mga white blood cells, ang ating red blood cells, and ating platelets. So, when we talk about infection, the most important part will be the white blood cells kasi they are the ones who fight off infections and invaders in our body.
Now, aside from that, the skin also, as mentioned earlier, is our first line of defense against infection. Doc Paolo, you touched on this earlier. No? How does it prevent germs from entering our bodies at bakit napaka-importante na alagaan natin ang ating balat?
A lot of us would just think na parang skin is just skin, just one layer of skin. Actually, no. It has a lot of layers, your epidermis, dermis, and a lot of layers underneath that. No? So all of these function as part of your immune system. So you have there your other cells, no? Keratinocytes, macrophages, as I mentioned earlier, neutrophils, like I said, are there as well. No? So skin acts as a first line of defense. So skin against protecting invading organisms. So aside from being a physical barrier or that level of protection, the skin as an organ can also produce an adaptive response to protect the body against, for example, ultraviolet radiation, sunburns, which can expose or damage the skin and then let the viruses and bacteria in.
When they think of bacteria, you would usually think of harmful organisms that enter our body. Actually, we have a lot of good bacteria too, especially in our gut, in other parts of our body as well, and they're essential in keeping our immune system robust. Doc Paolo, can you explain this? Could you talk about this a little bit further?
It actually becomes sort of like a vaccine effect for the body. No? It triggers a response, first of all, with your immune system. So it can trigger antibodies that can be protective to something more serious or more damaging. Some bacteria can really be more toxic than others. No? Not all bacteria are the same. Second, these good bacteria will actually colonize or actually live inside your body. No? And that's not actually a bad thing. No, because space in your body is also limited. No? So if there's good bacteria residing in the lining of some organs, good bacteria meaning they're harmless, they're not really causing any disease, any infection, any active infection in your body, then that's actually a good thing because the bad bacteria will run out of places to live or colonize into as long as that good bacteria is there and as long as their colonies are intact.
Autoimmune disorders are commonly known to affect our immune system, and there are dozens of autoimmune disorders today, like rheumatoid arthritis and even type 1 diabetes. Now, Doc Tina, let's give our viewers an idea on how autoimmune disorders are and how disruptive they are to a person's immune system, and what should our viewers know about this?
Autoimmune, from the word itself, meaning auto, yourself, is dysfunction of the immune system. So your antibodies, your white blood cells, instead of attacking a foreign body, it attacks itself. So the brain can be affected, the eyes, the lungs, the heart. So this is what autoimmune dysfunction is all about. So it's the body destroying its own self. So one of the more popular examples would be your lupus, your rheumatoid arthritis, your HSP, and of course, very common po, diabetes is one of the autoimmune diseases. Okay? So what happens, yun nga po sinasabi natin, our own immune system destroying our own bodies.
Other conditions that may disrupt someone's immune system that is very common, especially here in the Philippines, are allergies. Now, a lot of people may suffer from allergies. Some people may not be quite sure why they have a certain response when they're exposed to certain allergens. Doc Paolo, can you explain the relationship between allergies and our immune system?
Allergic disease is one of the most common chronic health conditions globally as well. And usually it's familial or hereditary. So people with a family history of allergies have an increased risk of developing allergic diseases. No? So more common allergic diseases, that would be your allergic rhinitis, eczema, asthma is actually considered under that as well, and food allergies. No? It can range from very mild to seriously life-threatening, or what we call anaphylaxis. No? So it's best to identify triggers to your allergies or what you're allergic to. Now, for your question, in connection with the immune system, like we said, the immune system responds to foreign threats to your body. So any foreign threat that is not just for bacteria and viruses, that actually includes your allergens, allergic triggers as well. So the point is sometimes we take antihistamines to actually dampen and control, regulate your immune system again, no? Because again, these responses are heightened or exaggerated responses that can actually harm your body as well.
So when it comes to certain things like this, it's more of a control that we're trying to look for rather than cure. Now, Doc Tina, now that the vaccine rollout is focusing now on the younger population, on the younger age group, what can we say about the importance of being vaccinated when it comes to kids?
So COVID-19 vaccine is also recommended now for kids, and I advise parents to get it, lalo na po yung mga parents with children who has comorbid like diabetes, bronchial asthma. It is very preventive of severe COVID infection because right now we are seeing more cases of children getting really severe COVID infection.
Just like the rest of our body, our immune system needs proper nourishment, rest, and a healthy environment in order to stay strong. But how do we do it? Stay with us on MedTalk Health Talk, only on CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines, where caring is our calling. Doc Tina, can you share with us some tips in order for our viewers to maintain a healthy immune system?
Of course, number one, part of healthy living is, of course, daily sunlight exposure, but we also have to be careful kasi nga sabi ni Dr. Paolo, excessive sunlight exposure can also be harmful to the immune system. Number two, get enough rest and sleep. Number three, eat a healthy diet. And of course, you have to have an active, healthy lifestyle. Avoid being sedentary. And of course, for some parents, it's also important to consider or to always pay importance to your mental health because mental health also affects our immune system. Okay, your stressors can decrease your immune response to infection.
Doc Paolo, when it comes to managing stress levels and all this, are supplements affecting our immune system, or are there more simpler ways to boost our own health?
There are a lot of antioxidant supplements that you see. And as long as they are FDA approved and has undergone clinical trials, we definitely recommend them. No? Antioxidants help in cleaning out the debris in your body. You know? So your body cells, on a cellular level, they undergo a lot of processes for it to function well. No? That includes your immune system as well. No? So there are a lot of debris in your body left behind by these processes that can actually hamper your immune system. So it's best to get rid of these debris, no? And taking antioxidants is one way of doing that, no? Whether it be exogenous or from food sources or from the dietary supplements that are available commercially. Now, when we're talking about stress is actually never 100% purely psychological. A lot of people would say that stress is just in your head, it doesn't affect your body or doesn't make you sick. Actually, that's not correct, no? Whenever you're stressed, whether it be physical or emotional, you get to have increased blood pressure, increased heart rate. You can also have gastrointestinal issues or digestive problems. No? So that can also dampen or suppress your immune system.
But Doc Paulo, what is it exactly about stress that causes all of these bad things in our body to happen? Because sometimes having a little stress is actually okay for our body. It makes us more productive, but too much of it can make it bad. What exactly is it about too much stress that causes all of these bad things to happen?
Sometimes we stress our body to a point that in forms of exercise, in forms of mental exercises, that's always good because it actually triggers your cells to undergo the processes, your metabolism, to be fixed correctly. No? However, too much stress can cause the release of the hormone corticosteroids in your body. Now, this is actually your endogenous steroids. No? And it can dampen your immune system. It can raise your heart rate. It can do a lot of damage in the other organs, not just cardiac.
Now, Doc Tina, I'd like to talk about mga toxins naman. Ano yung mga guaranteed na pangpababa ng immune systems on the toxins that people take? Could certain bad habits that people do create these harmful toxins in our body?
Exposure to cigarette smoking increases the chances of autoimmune diseases. So please do not expose our children, and of course to those who are really smoking, stop or quit smoking. Okay, so there are also some we have to be very careful of what we give to our children and what we take in, because there are some food that can cause autoimmune diseases. Like there are tartrazines or food coloring and other substances in our food that can cause autoimmune diseases and cause dysregulation in our immune system. So as much as possible, we try to eat healthy, eat natural, avoid junk foods, and exposing ourselves to other substances that can harm. Even mga cleaning products, we really have to be very particular about it.
I'd like to thank our guests for joining us today, internal medicine specialist Dr. Paulo Miguel Borja and pediatrician Dr. Cristina Ignacio Alberto. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and thank you for watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. We'll see you again next time.